welcome to another episode of FAB It Garage. So, as you guys can see, the motor's in. The motor's in. It's bolted down. Well, it's not fully torqued down, but it's just snug. Everything lines up perfect. And transmission's in. As you guys can see. Transmission's in. Now I'm starting to fabricate the transmission mount. So as you guys can see, I have a 2x4 here. This jack leaks a little bit, so I finished this last night and I put a transmission up, and I wasn't comfortable leaving this hydraulic jack overnight because it does leak down after a while. So I was able to actually sneak a 2x4 right on top of the lift post to go across, and basically the transmission is resting on the 2x4, and this is just here just in case the 2x4 sags down or anything. But I felt a little more comfortable going in the house knowing that the transmission's secured because there's nothing else holding it. So yeah, I'm gonna get to fabricating the mount here. I have to put the other stud back in here, but I'll show you guys the cut. So I had to cut that bunch out, as I told you guys. As you see the yellow line there, I might cut it all around. That way, if I do want to change the shifter to an aftermarket shifter, I can do it from in the car. But I'm not sure yet. The motor and the transmission are coming out again. I just put the motor in and tranny just so I can fabricate this transmission mount. But the tranny's coming back out while the transmission mount gets painted and dries. I'm gonna pull the motor out. I gotta modify this header a tiny bit. As you can see, I have plenty of room to run my exhaust here, but I'm actually gonna angle that down a little bit, just like I did on that side there. But yeah, get to fabricating on this mount. I'll show you guys what I have so far. So I'm gonna use this pretty heavy piece of tubing. As you can see, I have all my sketches here. So it's basically, it's kind of hard for you guys to visualize it, but it's gonna be this thin, and then you're gonna have a cutout so the exhaust can go through. This is where the transmission mount's gonna bolt to. Then you have the exhaust on the other side, and then cut here. I had this piece of heavy steel laying around, so I'll use that. And then I got some tubing that I'm gonna make for the sides to clamp down to the actual rail. But you guys will understand as I go, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna get to cutting all this right now, and then once this is all cut, I'll put it on the car and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. But yeah, no motor on the engine hoist. Here's how it looks from the front. Nice and clear. So the car is on the lift safely. I have the rear end up with the 8.8. I have two big batteries in the trunk just in case, but the 8.8 looks awesome back here. So yeah, I'm just gonna get to fabricating this mount. That way I don't need any of this jack stuff holding it, and I can lower the car. And I put the shifter up there. As you can see, my shifter is already at an angle where it brings it back and up. So I might even keep that, but we'll see when we get there. But I really like to open this up to make a perfect rectangle, like the size of this plate here. So if I need to change the shifter from in the car, I can get all four bolts on the corners easily from inside the car. It'd be nice. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's secure this thing in place, and then pull everything out again for one last time, and when it goes back in again, it's gonna stay in. So let me get cutting. All right, well, we have the basic shape, so similar to what Monster Miata sells, but I decided that I can make my own instead of buying it. Hence the reason why it's a budget build. So basically that's the main shape. The transmission sits there. I'm gonna be drilling 2 holes here. That's gonna be for you to put your socket to get the nut out. Probably gonna weld the tubing here too, that way the nut can't fall in there. It'll be just, I'm gonna weld a round tube on each side, pointing straight to the hose. I am gonna close this all up with steel, top and bottom. But yeah, so I basically left the cutout so you can run your exhaust. Because if I just made it straight, the exhaust would be sitting way too low. So I want to be able to run. This is about a 4.25 inch opening, and I'm only going to run like a 2.25, maybe 2.5 inch exhaust. So plenty of room. And obviously, because the motor is slightly to the passenger side, you see how wide this is up top and how thin that is. You have less room on the passenger side, but it's fine because, like I said, I still have 4.25 inch width here, and the pipe is only going to be 2.25, maybe 2.5, depending on what kit I buy. But either way, even if I went with a 3 inch, there's plenty of room here for a pipe. So so now I'm just basically, this here is not going to be welded to the car. There's going to be a plate here with 2 bolts going through the rail. Another plate on this side with the bolts coming through, so it'll be bolted on 2 sides here. And then later, once I have the exhaust done, and if I wanted to just add some rigidity to this, I can always make a bolt-in half moon or something here that I can bolt here and just add rigidity to, so it's not taking all the stress on the top. So, but I need to know how low the exhaust is going to be so I can make something around it, and then I'll weld 2 nuts here and I'll make something bolt up just to reinforce it. But this is pretty thick steel, so for something that's just holding the transmission up, I don't think it'll be a problem. So yeah, that's how the rough transmission mount is going so far. I just finished cutting all that up. So now I'm going to clean this up and I'm going to start enclosing everything inside and outside. Okay, so here's another update on the mount. So what I did was I got this nice thick piece of steel. This was actually square tubing. So I cut the square tubing in half, and then basically what I ended up with is both sides perfect. Basically what you want to do is you want to find a square tubing that the inner diameter of the tube is the same diameter as the outer, as the measurement from here to here. And I had a piece of tubing that fit perfect, as you can see. So cut it in half on both sides and you have your 2 mounting plates. So as you can see, I have it drilled through the body and bolted down. These bolts are just temporary bolts. I did not have longer bolts that are new in stock. So I just used these just to, basically I'm just trying to tack weld it in, and then once I tack weld it in, I'll take it out and fully weld it, paint it, whatever. So the way this is this is bolted down. This here, clean metal on both sides. So as you can see, this mount here on the transmission has a plate bolted to it with 2 bolts. Because I had to cut this tubing and there was nothing here, basically what I just did is I just left the plate up there, bolted it down, and then I'm gonna just go like this. And once I put the digital level and make sure this is level and I'm happy with both sides and I'm happy with how the bolt lines up from the bottom here through the holes I drilled, then I'm just gonna tack weld here. I'm gonna tack weld this plate here on both sides, and then tack weld this on both sides. Right now it's just loose because I have to level it. I'm gonna try and put about a 15-degree angle on the transmission pointing back. You don't want the drive shaft perfectly straight with the rear end. You want a little bit of angle because otherwise the needle barrels inside don't really rotate as they should. So once this mount's tacked in, then I'll come under here, put my socket in here, remove both nuts, remove both these big bolts. Then I'll be able to take the whole thing down. I still have the transmission jack holding it up and the 2x4s. Bring it to the bench, fully weld it. Then once I'm gonna test fit it one more time, put it up, fully weld it, and make sure everything lines up and it goes in, all bolts go in, no problem. Once that's all set, then I'm gonna pull it down again, and then I'm gonna start plating closed all of this. Everything that's open is gonna be plated closed. And then just throw a coat of paint and the transmission is pretty much done. And we'll have plenty of room to run our exhausts through here. Like I said, this is about 4 1/4 space. So my exhaust, like as I mentioned before, is gonna be about, I'm probably gonna do 2.5. I can probably get away with 2 1/4, but I think 2.5 will be a little better. Then other than that, just motor and tranny will be pretty much mounted to the car. Then I'm gonna remove the transmission again, the motor out again. So the motor, I have this side modified, so this side here points down, so I can basically put a pipe coming down and all the way back. This side here, I have plenty of room because I don't have a starter. But I'm gonna actually cut this like I did on the other side, and I'm gonna tilt it down so that way my bolts are facing up. And then I'm gonna run my exhaust. I have plenty of room to run my exhaust on this side. So I am gonna modify that header on the driver's side. And then once I drop the motor in, it's gonna stay in. And as you guys can see, the header's just sitting there. There's not even a gasket on it. I just put it on just so I can test fit it. Once I take the motor out again, I'm gonna put the gasket, I'm gonna put all the bolts. As you can see, there's only one bolt holding it. Put in all the bolts, both gaskets. The side's the same way, no gaskets, just a bolt. The gasket's pretty thin, so it's not really gonna move much. I did put some heat shielding on the frame rail because the header, it's about 1/2 inch away from it. I bought, let me see if I can find the stuff that I bought. The shop's a mess because I've been fabricating, but this is what this corner's for, is just to cut metal and stuff. So this is the stuff that I bought. It's got adhesive back and it's pretty sticky. If you're applying it on a day that's not as hot, what you can do is you can peel the backing off, and then you just take a heat gun and lightly warm it up, and that makes the adhesive in the back nice and sticky. And then you just stick it wherever you want. So I got this on Amazon. If you guys want to buy this to protect everything that gets hot. I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys, but you can't really see it. But I actually wrapped that around the shaft that stays stationary on the car just to make sure it's not gonna melt, because there's a little O-ring in there, and I might do the actual shaft too, just to make sure that you get as much protection from heat as you can. But other than that, I'm happy with how everything's coming out, especially being on a budget. And I might have to modify that shifter once I get up there and see how it feels and what it clears, what it doesn't clear. But other than that, we're getting extremely close. Next weekend, this weekend's kind of busy, but next weekend I'm gonna drop off the drive shaft at the drive shaft place. So basically any Fox Body Mustang drive shaft will work. I got this for a week of cheap. I think I paid 30 or 40 bucks for it. The U-joints are already nice and tight. They're greasable, no play whatsoever. And I got this out of an 87 Fox Body. They're gonna shorten and they're gonna balance. 30.5 inches from center of joint to center of joint. I did double check the measurement, and it is exactly what I need. I knew that's what I needed, but I wanted to be sure, because I'm not gonna drop this thing off, pay $140. I think the guy said he was gonna charge me, and then have it be wrong. So I put the transmission up. Now I know exactly my distance, so I'm extremely confident that that's gonna work perfect. So yeah, guys, this is the update for this week. I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys on the next one.